there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to cover everything you need to know about rumours of Vince McMahon's return to wrestling.
Matt and Jeff Hardy back in WWE. Are they going to the main roster?
Asuka is just shooting hard on social media.
And we'll tell you exactly what happened in that strange Dynamite segment last week with the women.
What was that cheer about?
Yeah.
We'll find out later in the video. I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the news. Right, we're kicking this one off by talking about Vince McMahon. He's like the turd you can't flush these days. But yeah, over the past few days, there's been some very heavy, loud, shall we say, rumours that Vince McMahon is maybe planning a return to wrestling as the head of a new company, a new promotion, with Fox potentially on board as a broadcasting partner. Now, this isn't the first time talk of this has arisen. Late last year, there was word that Vince was looking to set up a new entertainment company, and he'd maybe tapped a few WWE executives to be involved. Naturally, when you think of that, literally the only thing Vince McMahon has ever been successful at is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So you automatically think maybe it's going to be a wrestling thing. But also, let's not forget, he's tried the XFL twice, the WBF, and a bunch of other stuff. So who knows with that guy?
Yeah.
But these rumors kind of emanated from a conversation that Conrad Thompson and Eric Bischoff had on 83 Weeks. And to be fair, they were both pretty skeptical. They were like, I don't know. But Thompson said that he'd heard rumblings that Vince had conversation with like cameramen who were experienced in shooting pro wrestling and stuff like that. And he said that there were rumors that maybe Fox could be involved in this project. Some kind of wrestling promotion bidding war, so to speak. Now, Andrew Marchand, who's a reporter for The Athletic, has since commented on the Fox aspect of this. He has said on Twitter, there is a report that Vince McMahon might start a wrestling company with Fox as a partner. If McMahon is planning that or not, I don't know. But the Fox part is not true, according to a network spokesman. So, yeah, there you go. Apparently, the Fox part of it is nonsense. Obviously, some scuttlebutt that Conrad has presumably heard. And like we said, both Conrad and Bischoff on the podcast said, they were doubtful about this. But
they weren't reporting it as fact or anything.
Yeah,
no.
exactly. Yeah. But it is believed that Vince is laying the groundwork for an entertainment hub company to fund, develop, and produce film and TV products. That was reported in October, as we covered. No word on the actual wrestling aspect. So, yeah, there really is a lot to unpack with this. I think one thing about this, right? Vince McMahon is still a TKO stakeholder, by the way. He owns 5% of TKO. Which is, of course, the parent company that governs WWE and the UFC. He's got a higher stake than The Rock.
Yep.
I think maybe higher than Nick Khan as well. Although Nick Khan's the most powerful person in wrestling because he's WWE's president. But yeah, in terms of ownership. So I don't think Vince McMahon I think if he starts a wrestling promotion, it's good. Who would he hire, right?
I don't know.
Who would he hire? Who is a difference-making star that's available right now that he could hire? I have no idea.
Let us know, I suppose.
Yeah. What do you think of all this?
I don't know. I don't think it's particularly nice to talk about, but then in the comments you might disagree and think it's great and want Vince McMahon back, I suppose. That you're entitled to your opinions. So here's the thing, you mentioned about him having these stakes within TKO. Yeah. It's always important to remember that right now, at least, in the legal proceedings against Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis for sex trafficking, they are also against WWE. And not only is that lawsuit against WWE, but WWE have at the very least shared Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis' defence against potential charges. Yes. They don't want this going to federal court. They don't want all of this coming out of the wash. They want it all kind of happening on the quiet. And whatever's going to be is going to be, but we'll make it happen over there, please. So there's a lot of them being like, in terms of a legal sense and in terms of a corporate sense, on the same side, even if now Vince McMahon isn't on their team in terms of what we see with WWE television every week. Yeah. So I think it's an important thing to distinguish there, because if Vince McMahon is setting up what would effectively be opposition to WWE, that would create quite a unique scenario in which he would have this television show that he might want to shop out, a wrestling show, an entertainment show, God knows what. that would theoretically be in direct opposition to a company that at least legally and corporately he's still in lockstep with. So I'm assuming that there will always potentially be challenges or hurdles in that regard. Less so probably in trying to secure some sort of network interest. I have absolutely no doubt that Vince McMahon and powerful folk like him have made very, very big relationships with very, very big and important people over the decades that could well open a door or even just open a window a crack, and that's enough for him to push through and get conversations on the go. You know, Conrad and Bischoff won't have been talking irresponsibly about this. They'll simply be talking about what they've heard other people talking about. So I don't doubt that scuttlebutt and that, as they like to say, rumour and innuendo is out there, because Vince McMahon is a man with a contact book big enough to get that stuff out there. I think the smoke's this fire. I genuinely do, but I would like to think, at very least, the legal situation with the ongoing Janelle Grant case and, as I say, WWE's involvement in that, which we must never forget, will at least keep the wolf away from the door for the time being in terms of what we're going to see television-wise. The last thing I would want is for a Vince McMahon TV product to emerge back on the scene and trivialise and normalise the fact that he's involved in a very, very ugly legal case. I don't want those two things to exist at the same time, personally.
To devil's advocate a little bit, I could see WWE, depending the results of the Janelle Grant case, obviously, whatever happens with that, I could see WWE not being too bothered by Vince McMahon setting up shop, because it's likelier to take away from AEW's market share than WWE's, I think. I think that WWE is pretty bulletproof in terms of its...
I think they might be using TNA to try and do that themselves.
Listen, it's absolutely... Look at what's going on with international TV deals. It's business, it's how it works, it's brutal. But yeah, I could absolutely see a Vince McMahon organization being, not endorsed by WWE necessarily, but kind of allowed to do its thing by WWE, from the mindset that maybe it would take audience paying customers away from their competition. It's all chess moves at the end of the day. And look, pending the results of whatever happens with Janelle Grant's situation, whether it goes to trial or it goes to arbitration, I don't think the possibility of WWE using Vince McMahon is out of the question.
No,
again, wrestling companies have proven time and time again over the decades that if they think they can get away with something, with using someone, whatever happened, they will just do it. And look, it's not like serious allegations haven't been levied against Vince McMahon before, and he's been used before as well. So look, the UFC, TKO Group, Dana White slapped his wife in public, and nothing happened. I don't think these are companies of many scruples, but let us know what you think of this whole messy situation down in the comment section below. It's gross. It's gross, isn't it? It's minging.
Never say never is the only truism in an industry full of lies.
Exactly.
I think, unfortunately. But to use a sort of positive version of that, if you're a massive Hardy Boyz fan, Matt and Jeff are back in the WWE fold. That ball a little bit creakier now. They returned last night on NXT, of course, as current TNA Tag Team Champions. Were successful in their match, and then were immediately challenged by Fraxium. And that match was booked by TNA authority figure Santino Marella, with Oni, I should point out, the tag team titles on the line for Roadblock, which could potentially give away the result that the Hardy Boyz might even win that match. Anyway, the reason for that, speculatively, could be that the Hardy Boyz will be more permanent fixtures back within the WWE fold. All sort of joking aside about whatever you may think of Matt or Jeff at this point in their careers, an enormous and enduring legacy within WWE, more than any other promotion. Very much their home base, and obviously bringing them back through this little TNA side hatch is a way for WWE, at a bare minimum, to merchandise them, which is what they did. The t-shirt dropped last night, to go alongside their NXT return. It was actually at the Andrew J. Brady Centre in Cincinnati. Lovely to see some wrestling in there. And the debut, the re-debut, I should say, took place. And per WrestleVotes, this t-shirt and this rollout was possibly part of something more. They said, quote, "Internally, there's a buzz that this is just the beginning. Creative sources optimistic that the legendary duo will have a main roster program sometime this spring or summer." Look, the pop wasn't exactly the WrestleMania 33 one. Like, we have seen enough run-throughs of the Hardys that, as opposed to last time when you had the broken universe being as hot as it was and it feeling like Jeff had run out of lives and yet he was getting this one more go at that. You know, that in itself was, top of my head, 2017, so that's nearly a decade ago in and of itself. Time's arrow marches forward with all wrestlers. So pops might be diminished, returns might be diminished. However, Jeff Hardy in particular, tangible and proven draw, and historically WWE will always take one more chance on those guys that have done business in the past. Both could do that again, I suppose.
I endorse this, actually. I'm in favour of the Hardys doing something on the main roster, because the thing that with the current WWE product is that quite often the live audiences are most engaged by things like entrances and catchphrases and like the pomp and the show and so like a big part of Jey Uso's popularity is the entrance. It's awesome.
Be part of all that.
It's awesome. If the Hardy Boys show up in a stadium on pay-per-view, they're going to get everyone's going to go mental. It's going to be an incredible pop. And, you know, yes, they've definitely declined over the years, for sure. And I think that if you look at something like the Young Bucks match in AEW, perhaps there's not, and the quality of that, which was disappointing compared to what they've done in the past. Those two teams specifically together, but it's understandable because Matt and Jeff are really old now, and like Matt's back is like fused together and stuff. But if you look at that match, you go, okay, maybe there's not as much value in these, you know, them wrestling teams from different generations. So the Fraxium match will be a really interesting acid test because they are the best tag team in America, in my opinion. And if you have a bad match with Fraxium, what more can you do? That being said, to be kind to Matt and Jeff, they're not my favourite act in 2024, but they've been a huge boost for TNA. They've gone back to TNA. They've continually worked with younger talent and tried to raise them up. They've had a tangibly positive impact on TV numbers and to a greater extent, live event tickets. They've gone to TNA and they've done it properly, right? You always hear people go, I'm excited to work with these young talent. And then you look at it, like a year later, you look at their ratio, their record, and the only person they put over is Christian Cage Edge. You know.
Can't think of any others.
The Hardys have done it the proper way.
They have. And raise the profile for sure.
I think this has been a really good year for them in terms of that. And that's what they should be doing at this stage. So, look, Fraxium should beat them, yes. I'm not putting the NXT or belts or... What one's on the line? The TNA? So
this is the problem. Only the TNA belts are on the line, which has led to instant speculation, of course, there's a bit of politics being played there. Or at least to set up a rematch, and if you're 50-50 booking Fraxium and the Hardys, well, I don't know.
I got it the wrong way around there. I thought it was the NXT for some... Okay, that's weird. But we'll see.
But they might want to run it back at Stand and Deliver, you know.
And look, if you're at WrestleMania and hits, are you telling me that even if you're the most cynical of cynics, that you're not going to get off your seat and start jumping around like a numpty? Of course, it's wrestling, man. We're all dirty marks.
Jeff Hardy's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, I gotta be honest. Don't be guilty about pleasures, man. You want a house made of tin foil, you get your ass won.
In some cases, it probably would have been advisable to be guilty about some pleasures. But all right, a great pleasure of mine at the moment is watching Asuka ripping stuff up on Twitter. She's killing it. So it's a nice turnaround because remember the other week she's being harassed by people and like illegal stuff coming her, and it was like, what are people doing? There's some,
wasn't nice, was it?
No, it was horrible. But for some reason this week Asuka has been on Twitter and she's all over the place. It's great. She's tweeting about Dio era Sabbath. Hey, what's going on?
Asuka, we need your thoughts on Dio era Rainbow. Me and Murray have had some very heated debates about our favourite eras of Rainbow. So if you could get deep on that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Only one man sang Kill the King. We're there. But right, go and have a look at her page once you've done watching this video. But the one that stood out to me the most yesterday was somebody tried to tell Asuka that a match that Asuka was in was bad. It's so weird. This is the internet experience in 2025. Asuka had posted about her NXT match with Mickie James. She said this was such a great match. She had some other comments and stuff.
Loved it.
Somebody screenshotted Cage match and said, actually, person who was in the match, it was bad. So the cage match score is 6.93, which, by the way, is a good score.
Yeah.
I think people are desensitized now, and anything under 9 is bad or something.
Yeah.
And this person tweeted, nope, it was boilerplate, hard cam WWE slop. Real great women's wrestling is in Japan. Maybe if you worked this match in Stardom, it could have been something special. So the context of this match is that it was Mickey's first match back in WWE for years. It was like, I remember watching it at the time and thinking, okay, that you know, not era-defining great like Sasha Bailey, but this was so much fun.
Yeah, over delivery.
Yeah, definitely. And Mickey got such a great reception as well. It was
got hired back.
Exactly. On the back of that, it was the killer of today, Asuka, at the peak of her powers versus a returning legend, and it was really good time. This person's trying to.
Nope.
Listen, person who was directly involved, your experience is invalid because cage match says so.
Factually incorrect, in fact, Asuka. You find. So Asuka got well actually on her own work, basically.
She did, by some person. Asuka quote tweeted that and saying, do you really let worthless garbage reviews dictate your choices? Be it games or cars, reviews mean nothing. There's nothing more pathetic than surrendering your own judgment to someone else's opinion. Take full control of your own thoughts. Which, I mean, that's a beautiful way of encapsulating my thoughts on the matter. She had another one that I thought, she was in philosophical mode here as well. It's easy to pander and suck up just to avoid being hated. All you have to do is put on a fake smile, act like a peace-loving saint, and keep everyone happy, no matter how you feel inside. But that's completely different from being truly liked in the real sense. In the end, it's all just an illusion. Isn't this exactly cubism, the fragmented, multifaceted reality that Pablo Picasso sought to express, now laid bare? She's killing it.
I'm out of my depth.
She's killing it.
Yeah, fair play to Asuka. The ability of a wrestler now to ultimately respond directly to these particular criticisms is A, scary when you give some of those criticisms for a living, and it makes you think about why you want to try and phrase those and frame them in a certain way. But B, a super cool thing to see on social media when I think so much of wrestling social media is trapped in this, and it's never caught up with time ever, even when certain wrestlers have come close. It's trapped in this weird amorphous blob of kayfabe and reality, and wrestlers that play their characters online simultaneously while carrying a real life social media presence. We know they've all got burners, all of them, but plenty of them try and live their life through social media while also then cutting a promo on it.
Yeah.
To have Asuka, especially while on the injured list and having recently experienced some difficult things in a personal life that she shared, so to have this happen while we know we're in quite a real period of Asuka's social media feed is great.
Yeah.
I think she's so beloved by the audience that any kind of comeback or any sort of return would have got this amazing response. But there's going to be a particular response from the hardcore sect that see these tweets and already love Asuka, that are going to love her twice as much as they already did. This is, and she won't care about this based on those tweets, this is exceptional for her public perception, even though that's not why she tweeted.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This has elevated her even more in the light of many that already loved her.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about reviews and stuff, and I think cage matches are a really useful resource. It's great that the history of wrestling is documented here. If you're just hearing about Shinya Hashimoto or Mildred Burke or Billy Robinson, all these wrestlers of the past, you can go on there and you'll find a nice curated list on the Match Guide page with ratings and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to take these things with a pinch of salt. And The thing about surrendering yourself to other people's opinion is such a really cool way of putting that. Shout out to Asuka, and listen, Dio Urasawa rocks too, but I mean, Aussie better, but Dehumanizer, man, heaven and hell, come on, that's great stuff.
Let us know what you think of us too in the comments of this video, and if you don't like us, Asuka says you're wrong. Moving on,
look at our cage match profile.
The final story of today sticks with women in wrestling, but ones that were not exactly in the brightest of light last Wednesday night. Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Megan Bayne. For those that didn't see it, a quick recap. Megan Bayne defeats Chris Statlander. Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne have formed a new allegiance and are beating down on Chris Statlander after the fact. Thunder Rosa emerges on the scene with a steel chair, ostensibly to chase them off, but the heels don't powder, they just kind of stay there. Thunder Rosa seemingly expected them to leave, threatens to swing the chair, does swing the chair, but they don't move, nor does she connect. So then everyone's just left sort of doing statues. Then the heels try and take the chair, and I think it's Penelope Ford and Thunder Rosa in particular end up in like a tug of war where neither of them are tugging, because neither of them seems to know what to do. The heels eventually leave the ring, again, not in a way that they look scared, they just leave the ring. And then Thunder Rosa lobs the chair at them from the ring to the aisle. Doesn't make any kind of connection, but it looks dodgy. It looks like something has gone wrong. There's been a communication breakdown. And there was speculation last week that obviously Bain and Ford might have been, that old kind of going into business for yourself, playing a bit of politics, were they intentionally trying to sabotage a segment, all that sort of stuff.
Sandbagging.
Yeah. And that has been associated with Thunder Rosa in the past. But Fight for Select have come through today just to douse some of those flames, at least for the time being. The report says those we spoke to said it would have been a coach or a producer miscommunication, not instructing the talent where to position themselves. We forget that wrestling, like acting or anything, requires blocking and all that kind of stuff. The story went on to say sources in AEW said that the situation was discussed following the segment and none of the participants have issues working together. That probably builds off speculation that there was heated rows backstage between the wrestlers after the fact. Obviously, it behooves AEW from a PR point of view to say, no, just discussions. But equally, you can have miscommunications at work, and if that was the case, it seems as if all has been resolved, and what appeared to be a tag match, at least being set up, will probably go ahead. It appears as if for now, there will be no afters coming out of this one.
Yeah, it was awkward, it was weird, it was one of those clunky things that just sometimes makes it to wrestling TV, and it's unfortunate when it does, but ultimately...
Like immersion breaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So it matters in the moment, but it's the kind of thing that 2 weeks from now will not matter at all.
Yeah.
Everyone will have moved on. The narrative, Fred, will be that... Fred. Hello. Hello, little baby. Fred Elliott.
The original narrative, Fred, was the one that bowled into Coronation Street in the 90s with Ashley and changed Butcher in forever.
So, Fred Elliott had a great match with Gabe Kidd on Collision as well.
Well, because, of course...
Shout out to the Butcher.
Fred had his massive knife, and that was the original Butcher and the Blade.
That's it.
That's where they got the name from.
That's where they got it from. So the Fred Elliott of the situation was that Thunder Rosa is standing up against these two heels.
Narrative Fred's really got it. I think Narrative Fred's going to debut in NXT in 6 weeks.
Change your control your narrative, Fred. Get EC3 involved.
I'm going to win the NXT title. I say I'm going to win the NXT title.
I say. Fred Elliott, he's going to face Megan Bain. I think Megan Bain's going to beat his ass. We'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But setting up the tag match. Look, a real simple fix would have been the heels just taking the powder when Thunder Rosa came out.
Yeah.
It would have been fine. They cocked up. We figured out what happened. It doesn't matter anymore, really.
Yeah, and it's a good learning experience for AEW, to not let these things get worse and build up. There's various tensions in the past with certain other wrestlers. Haven't exactly made the situation better. De-escalation and growth and improvement in communication, which seems like what's occurred here. So all the best to all four of them in their impending tag.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today. Do you want to hear about the 50 best wrestlers in the world right now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Maybe they'll be on this list. Who knows? You'll have to watch to find out.
Okay.
Look at that. Good. Bye.